Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. And I come to you from Sydney Harbour, and I'm just under the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and we're witnessing a glorious East Coast sunrise. As you can see, we've got the Opera House beautifully silhouetted there on the horizon, and the sun rays are just covering Fort Denison out there in the middle of the harbour. And if I pan around, you'll see that it's a beautiful start to the morning, a blue sky day, and a gentle but continuous westerly breeze coming through, keeping the skies clear of cloud. And those flags are back at full mast. They were half mast yesterday, sadly, at the news of the sudden death of the famous cricketer Dean Jones. Anyway, what do we talk about today? Jim's 5am Club. It's another glorious day. I'm just heading off to work, but I'm just so chuffed and so excited that I can get here early enough in the morning to make the most of this sunrise and to highlight the beauty of this city of Sydney. Right, let's go on our merry way, doing our walk and talk. And today I want to have a chat to you about another topic that I've got near and dear to my heart. And as a young fellow, I come across a term or a saying which has stayed with me ever since. And it's a saying which is basically familiarity breeds contempt. And it's a tricky subject, but I'll try and get through it as best I can. I remember years ago having a discussion with my Uncle George Gickus, who sadly has passed away, but he was a mentor to many of us. And we could openly talk to him about any topic. And it was different in those days. When I was growing up, you spent time chatting with your uncles, your aunts, your relatives. It was just commonplace that you had discussions. You sit at the dinner table and you just talk about topics, you talk about people. Even though it was a bit of kotobolyo, it still was important. It was important because it taught us right from wrong, and it gave us an opportunity to compare and contrast our family values with other people's values and come up with a set of values or a set of guiding principles that each family would have that would help them deal with the rapidly changing world. Whereas sadly today, very, very few families ever get together at a dinner table and hardly ever chat about any topic for fear of insulting or inflaming or offending anybody, because Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those now have become the parents, the uncles, the aunts of the younger generation, and you don't want to go against the grain there because you'll get torn to shreds. Anyway, one of these days when I was discussing stuff with my Uncle George, we're talking about Greece and travelling to Greece, and what he always used to love to do was to just jump on the plane with my Auntie Frida, and they'd spontaneously do it. Like, they wouldn't sit there for months and months and plan their holidays. They'd be working on Saturday, and back in those days the shops would close at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and he would turn to his wife and he'd say to her, "Frida, vamos in another." And Frida would say, "Yeah, why not?" They'd go home, pack their stuff, go to the airport, pay cash for a standby fare and be on the plane and over to Greece, and they'd be back a couple of weeks later. And I said to him, why do you go for just such a short time? Why don't you just go there and stay for 6 weeks, 2 months, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Dimitraki, you know me. I can afford that. I've got more than enough money to go as often as I can and for as long as I can. But you got to understand that in life we need to share our time, our moments, and if you spend too much time doing one particular thing, you become a sitting target, and then you fall into laziness. And he said, but most importantly of all, and I'll say this in Greek first and then I'll translate it to English. Θα τους βαρεθείς και θα σε βαρεθούνε. Which means in English, if you spend too much time doing the one thing, you'll get bored of it and they'll get bored of you. Which is a very, very powerful concept. And it's a very important message and lesson that we need to keep on moving and to keep on being fluid in our social interactions, because too much time with the same people over and over again, sadly but truly, ends up in tears. You see so many friendships, beautiful friendships. You see so many relationships, so many family relationships just end up breaking up. People end up in divorce, brothers and sisters never speak to each other again, friends are at loggerheads and are not chatting, don't talk to each other anymore. And you always ask yourself, why does that bloody happen? Why does it happen? Because when things were good, they were great for all of us, and then once things turn, they turn and they're never ever the same again. And as my uncle alluded to, it's a thing which is called familiarity, and once we become familiar with people, with their habits, with their traits, then we start taking them for granted. And when you start taking people for granted, then they don't feel special, they don't feel loved, they don't feel the love anymore. And once you don't feel loved, then you start looking elsewhere for love. And when you start looking elsewhere for love, you will find love elsewhere, albeit it will be temporary. It will satisfy that thirst, that lust that you have for attention, for caring, and for people just wanting to be with you and around you. So what a topic to talk about. But as my uncle said, and I love that, θα τους βαρεθείς και θα σε βαρεθούνε. And the same has happened in work. I've worked for a number of organisations for 3 or more years, and you just know that regardless of how good you are, regardless of how significant your contribution becomes, you have a change in management, you have a change in structure, you have a change in economic cycle, and before you know it, you're one of those persons on the list of redundancies, and you're looking for a new family, a new work family that is, and life changes from that point on. So for me, I've taken that advice from my Uncle George from all those years ago, and whenever I travel to Greece, for example, I always go for 3 weeks. 3 weeks is my sweet spot, and I always turn to my wife, Paula, at the end of the first week and ask her the same question: How long have we been here? and Paula will say, "We've been here for just 1 week." And I say, "It's absolutely remarkable. I feel like I've been here already for 3 months." It's amazing that once you set yourself a deadline, a shorter time frame to go on holidays, you do so many things in that compressed time frame that you're actually creating value in your life. Because, and I've seen it many times before, when people go on holidays for 3 months or for 6 weeks, the first 2 or 3 weeks they don't do very much significantly at all, and they leave it for tomorrow, and as we know, tomorrow never comes. But once you set yourself a very, very tight deadline, then you have an amazing amount of energy to move around, to socialise, and to make the most of every minute. So I'm off there. I go for 3 weeks, and 3 weeks is just perfect, absolutely perfect for me. And as Uncle George said also, says you can even go to Greece for just 1 week and have the time of your life. You go for 1 week, you charge your batteries, and you come back an absolute animal on fire. So I think we'll leave it there for today, but the important thing in life is to maximise your time, and you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot of time to have a good time, and to float socially. But there's a fine balance. There's a fine balance, a very fine balance that you need to be careful of, and that is spending not enough time and too much time. It's very, very difficult to find what the balance is, because you need to spend time with friends, family, and people to build rapport, to build a relationship. But if you spend too much time, it becomes less effective. So that's what the trick is. I think that's what the trick is finding the balance. And guess what? Most people can't find the balance, and they go into that knee-jerk reaction of spending too much time, and then moving away and spending far too less time, and then coming back and spending far too much time. And as you can see, it's that yo-yo effect which causes even more issues. It's more important to be consistent and predictable than to be knee-jerk and unpredictable. Anyway, let's finish off with our positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, have a great day, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, learn to live with each other, learn to appreciate each other, learn to not treat each other with what's the word I'm looking for? I've lost the word. Anyway, with too much familiarity or too much contempt, and learn to appreciate and to enjoy each other's company, and give each other some space. Now, give your friends, your family space, but also let them know that you're thinking of them, you love them, and that you're there for them, but without being in their face all the time and suffering the consequences of too much familiarity. Anyway, take care, and I look forward to coming to you again from another location tomorrow morning. Don't know where it'll be, but hopefully it'll be interesting, it'll be beautiful, and we'll touch on another topic that hopefully will empower us and will give us something to think about. And there we go. We've got the which ferry is that? I can't see. I've got the sun in my eyes. We've got the Narrabeen heading off for its first run of the day, heading over to Manly, and we'll finish off now and sign off. Take care, yasas, and bye for now.